Hi, this is Thomas with Believe in the Run.
This is Robbe with Believe in the Run.
And Robbie, we're talking about a brand that we don't normally talk about. Matter of fact, this is my first experience with it.
Same, yeah.
What are we talking about?
Talking about Anta, the Anta C202 5GT.
Before we get into the review, there is something I want to talk about. So their logo, when I was running, one of the women behind me thought that maybe I was running in Brooks because she saw this logo on the bottom.
Okay.
And their logo does have a very similar kind of like swooshy feel of the Brooks. And I was like, huh, that's strange. Somebody on social media said Anta actually has kept Brooks from going into China because of the logo controversy.
Really?
So I don't know how true that is or not.
Yeah.
But
well, it also looks like a Puma in some ways if you connected this right here.
Yeah,
I would
this
also
design,
think
yeah.
It's very similar. I don't know. That's neither here nor there.
How do you feel about Chinese shoes in general?
I mean, I haven't had a lot of experience outside of Mount to Coast and...
We did Li Ning. I did some Li Ning.
Li Ning, which are actually pretty solid as well. Yeah. This is my first time, in, like you said, in Anta. The name sounds like a droid from the next Star Wars movie.
But overall, Robbie, I don't understand why people there is some, I think, pushback to Chinese shoes or Chinese shoe manufacturers, but most of the shoes that are even US designed get made over in Asia.
Yeah, I mean, they're all using the same factories. Maybe there's some like reverse engineering going on. I'm not sure. There's a lot of some of the trade secrets within the factories. It gets out there.
There is some maybe design crossover.
Yeah, I'd say for sure.
Right. But I felt like this shoe was pretty unique.
It is, yeah. And Anta's been around a while, and they've been in the space. They've been, especially in the basketball
hoops.
Yeah, they have some pretty big deals going on there. But for running, again, they've started to get into it the last couple of years. This is their first time trying it. Now this shoe is actually not a new shoe. This has been out for almost a year at this point.
I know, I'm kind of curious why they sent us an old shoe, but...
Because I think the newest version of this shoe might even be out.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
But you send it, we test it, here it is.
Yeah, everything on the shoe is kind of engineered to be lightweight, seamless, fast. This upper is it's like a yarn mesh type situation going on.
I think we can actually say jacquard in this because it does have different densities in the mesh.
Yeah, okay.
So woven in.
And it's somewhat of a rigid upper.
Yeah, what does it remind you of?
I mean, the Adios Pro 3, I would say.
Yeah.
Very similar to that. And then you have like a very minimal tongue, super thin with the same thing, the laces that are super thin. Honestly, a lot of this does remind me of the Adios Pro 3 in many ways. But it has a little more cushion here in the heel. Actually,
the heel counter is one of my favorite heel counters of any race day or speed shoe. They did a little extra padding in here, you can kind of see it. It really does a nice job of holding the foot in and giving you kind of like a secure fit around the collar. That's probably one of my favorite things about this upper, other than just the regular fit.
Yeah, especially because this is a carbon plated shoe that's super stiff, and in a lot of those stiff race day shoes, you do get some heel lift at times because it's
like a lever,
not that flexible. But I felt pretty good, locked in all throughout. I will say this fit is narrow and tight, especially in the toe box.
Which is why I loved it.
Yeah, like it's snug on the foot. But I didn't feel like I didn't feel like my toes were banging up against the front. So I felt like if you just like that snug race day fit, then it is good.
Yeah.
But it can get a little cramped.
And while Robbie's looks a little wilder than mine, it's actually the same shoe, even with this Spider-Man Venom, Carnage collection.
Look. Yeah.
But what he doesn't have on his is a little note that is on mine in English that says, for higher cadence.
Oh. So it's like the Metaspeed or something?
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that they're kind of playing into that, theory that there's shoes for striders and cadence people. And so this one, I guess, is for quicker turnover.
Yeah.
But it felt to me pretty standard.
Yeah. On the run, last thing about the upper, I did feel like because of that thin tongue, you do get a little bit of tension / lace bite. I felt at the top of the foot, maybe even throughout, so that was something to look out for. But otherwise, I did enjoy the fit.
Yeah, I didn't notice the lace bite as much as Robbie. I can see where he was getting it. It is a thin, felt like tongue. The fit overall, I love the toe box. I love the way this heel counter stayed in. I mean, I really liked the fit of this shoe.
All right. Well, let's move on to the midsole. I mean, this is definitely the highlight of the shoe.
Yeah.
For sure. And it's a nitrogen-infused PEBA foam.
More like the popcorn style PEBA.
So like if you take the Topo Athletic Cyclone or the Saucony Endorphin Speed or Endorphin, it's similar to that.
Yeah. So apparently when they make that, it's pellets that then they expand, and that's why it's like that.
Right. And then it has a full carbon fiber plate inside of here. It's kind of like has a levered geometry to it.
You kind of see it.
It feels really good.
I liked it. Like the density, the firmness to softness, the bounce. It has a really like even feel to it. Like some shoes I feel like you get a squish and a bounce and this and that. This one felt really solid throughout.
There's definitely a lot of comparisons to the Saucony Endorphin Speed, I feel like, in the design. It feels like a very good, like the best version of that shoe, I would say. Where the Speed, even if the 3 was a little more softer, it's not as aggressive. Same thing with the 4. And part of that is because it has the nylon plate in it.
Versus a carbon fiber.
Yeah, so throwing that carbon fiber plate in here with that same type of foam. The stack height, by the way, 33 in the heel, 25 in the forefoot. I'm not sure if that includes the insole and outsole, but anyways, so it gives that aggressive feel that when you remember maybe from the Saucony Endorphin Speed 2, but even more with the carbon fiber plate.
I actually thought this was what I had hoped. Like you guys, you and Megan both love the Endorphin Speed. Every iteration, there's little tweaks, but for the most part, you're really high on the shoe.
Yeah.
For me, I've always been like, it's missing just a little something. And I felt like this shoe hits where that's missing. And that might just be that little extra bit of cushioning feel in the shoe, the little bit of more like energy return. So for me, even though this would be a race day for a lot of people, and I think the price point puts it at a place where you could be using it as that up-tempo daily trainer or something like that.
Yeah.
I really liked it like that. There's another shoe I liked for daily training that was meant for racing that you said this kind of reminded you of.
I asked Thomas if I was crazy thinking this, but
A little bit.
it reminded me of the Hoka Cielo X1 in some ways, just not with the aggressive rocker that's really rolls you through the stride, but I felt like the underfoot feel,
The density of the foam. Yeah.
like the energy return, everything else kind of reminded me of that shoe in a way. And I guess there could also draw comparisons to maybe the Endorphin Pro in some ways, but we're talking about a $180 shoe here.
Which puts it right in the same place as the Endorphin Speed.
Yeah, the same price point pretty much, pretty close to it. And you're getting really that super premium feel underfoot that you find in the $250 shoes. Now I'm not sure I would take this the whole way to the marathon distance. I would be a little hesitant.
It could do it.
It could.
It would.
If you have a very efficient footfall.
Well, if you're a high cadence runner,
Yeah, high
I
cadence,
think
sure.
this would be at $180 a phenomenal choice for a marathon, I think.
Honestly, you could just wear this for any run really.
Yeah.
Daily training, tempo runs, whatever. And the weight, which we didn't mention, is pretty solid.
8.1 ounces or 230 grams for a size 10 and a half.
That's pretty nice.
That is pretty nice. That's right there on the edge of almost being under that 8-ounce marker. Was doing everything from easy runs to tempo runs, and then took it up for like some strides and stuff like that to just kind of get the feel of that plate in. But this is one of those shoes that I think performs well across your paces. You don't have to be running fast to feel the benefits of this shoe.
And let's talk about the outsole real quick,
All right,
which
it's
is
like this liquid crystal rubber.
Really grippy.
Yeah.
Honestly, really,
It's
really
exceptional.
nice. I mean, everything really comes together to make overall a pretty quality tempo shoe. I don't know, overall speed shoe. It's just like has everything you want in it.
It really does. I think this is a sleeper that people aren't familiar with the brand, so they're not seeing it. You're not going to see it at your local running store. This is one that you would have to go ahead and buy online and see if you like. All right, Robbie, so let's get into our rating system.
So yeah, let's start with the form, the overall design, looks.
I give it a
everything
4.
else.
I really like the looks of this shoe. I thought it looks like a racer. It feels like a racer. It's one of those shoes when you look down and you're lacing it up, looks like it's ready to go to pick up the pace. The only area that I'm gonna knock it for is it has this kind of like 3D printed, like rubberized overlay that's somehow starting to peel off. It's just cosmetic. I don't think it's gonna cause any issues for the shoe, but if I gotta knock the shoe for something, the design falling off is probably gonna get knocked.
I'm gonna give it a 4 for pretty much the exact same reasons. So yeah, let's move on to fit.
Fit's where we get tricky. I really love the fit of this shoe, but I'm gonna give it a 4. And the reason I'm gonna give it a 4, the lacing is a little, like Robbie said, he's gonna get into that, but for me, it's just so many lace holes, it's like a lot to adjust. And then you've got this really thin, I always feel like these tongues are there to save weight, but sometimes they're like also, I feel like they're just like, here, let's just throw in a piece of felt.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this actually a 3. I thought that the fit throughout is really narrow, really snug, especially in a toe box. You really have to have a preference for that type of fit. But also like you said, the lace bite can get to be a little bit, especially with this very thin tongue. It really does remind me of the Adios Pro 3 a lot, which I just did not love that upper. So yeah, I'm gonna give that a 3. And let's move on to the function, which is the overall performance of the shoe.
I can't really knock this shoe. I'm gonna give it a 5. I really enjoy running in this shoe. It's fun to run in.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 5. This is really one of the best feeling shoes that, I mean, it's up there with the best. It just feels great underfoot. I really have no issues. Even the stability is pretty good for having this, decently high stack of Piba foam. So yeah, this is just a really fun shoe to run in. No qualms there. So I'm gonna go with, I guess that's 12 for me, 13 for you.
Yep, and I have to say, this is one of those shoes when we tested, after I was done with the miles, I was still putting it back on.
Yeah, and again, shoe's been out for a little while, so
you might be able to get it for
you might even be able to go on sale. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But so the new one, hopefully we get to test the new one soon. Let's compare the two. But I would say, yeah, Anta's doing some really cool stuff. I'm excited to see what else is coming. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, and follow us on all our other channels, Instagram, listen to our podcast, Fuel for the Soul and The Drop, both our podcasts. So subscribe to our email list so you get all the reviews in one place each week.
That's the easiest way to do it. You can subscribe to the email by going to believeintherun.com. Little pop-up will come up.
It's in the description too.
Yeah. In the description. That's brilliant. You probably did that.
All right, well, thanks for watching.
All right, awesome.